Yeah, y'all, I decided to make another video on something that we used to call the poor boy's meal. Okay? Franks and beans. All right? Gourmet style. All right? I remember back in the days, my mom used to make franks and beans, and she used to just put the franks in there, fry them, and put the beans in there, and we used to just eat it like that. And I used to be so tired of franks and beans, franks and beans. And then when I got older, I said, you know what? I never gave my kids franks and beans. I'm going to give it to them. But I'm not going to give it to them the 1960s way or the 70s way. I'm going to give it to them the 2018 way. Although I started doing this in like 2000, I'll say 7 or 8. So I just saute my little hot dogs in here and some olive oil. Keep my flame on like low, medium to low. And I put a pack of adobo, not adobo, but you know the Sazon, the red pack. I put a pack of that in there with the, I think it says, what it says, anonado in there, whatever. Let me read it. Anyway, I don't have to read it. I'm going to show y'all. This. I put a pack of this in there. All right. Let me open it up so y'all can see the name. That's the one I put in there. All right, so I put that in there, stir it around a little bit. Once they get like brown and toasty colored, I'll tell you what else I add to it. Okay, so now while my water is boiling in here, I take a little bit of my pink Himalayan salt, and I'm just going to grind some of that up in there in the water instead of using sea salt. I'm going to use a little bit of this pink Himalayan salt. Just sprinkle a little bit in there so we can start boiling with the water. Okay, so now the water's boiling and I'll rinse my rice off. I had to do it like 7 times in order for the water to come out clear. And I just add it to the water here and just stir and cover it back up. I don't close my pot all the way. I leave it open just a little bit on the side so that I could see, so that I can hear when it starts popping, knowing that most water is out and it's time to turn it all the way down to the lowest. So right now it's on a medium flame. Now that the hot dogs are toasty on most of the edges, I made sure that I keep it on the low flame because I like my food cooked, I like my meat cooked all the way. So I let this cook for about 10-12 minutes because I want to make sure that these hot dogs are done and not just burnt on, sorry, I didn't mean to say burnt, but not just brown on the outside. I want my hot dogs cooked through and through. So now that they're cooked, I add the beans to it. And the beans I'm using are the organic baked beans, high fiber, fat-free, Trader Joe's. So I'm gonna add 3 cans because I'm gonna have my grandsons over, and they love this meal. So instead of adding 2, I think I'm gonna add 3. Okay, now that I look at it, it looks like it's gonna be enough, so I only put the 2. And while you guys weren't looking, when I was off camera, I usually add some diced onion to the hot dogs as they saute in the Sazon and olive oil. But because I didn't have any onion, I had to cheat, making it less than a gourmet meal and add, hate to say it, I had to add onion powder. So now that the hot dogs are in there, I have some brown sugar. Okay, it's kind of soft, it's a little thick. I added some chunks of brown sugar to that. Sprinkle that in there. 3 chunks is good enough. 2 probably is good enough, but it's not going to hurt anyone. Alright, then I just mix that up in there like that. And turn it back down so that the hot dogs and the beans can simmer together with the flavors. And as it's simmering on a very low heat, my rice will be boiling. So I'm going to go off camera and mix this up really good. So now that I mixed it up, got the brown sugar melted in there, I covered it with my glass top. And once it starts bubbling around the edges, I'll turn it off. Okay, I failed to mention that I do put a little of this Earth Balance in my water as it boils, just so that to make sure that my rice doesn't stick. It's Earth Balance Original Non-GMO Vegan. Okay, vegan type butter. All right, so I just put this amount in the spoon. It's not a lot. It looks like a lot on camera, but when you measure it, it's like a teaspoon. And I just mix it up in there along with the Himalayan salt. Okay. And I usually add sofrito, homemade sofrito, to my rice when it's boiling. My green pepper, red pepper, orange pepper, yellow pepper, and garlic and onion crushed up together. I usually add a spoon of that. But because the hot dogs has the sazon in it and the onion powder and the brown sugar, that's enough flavor. So the rice doesn't have to have flavor in it. The flavors will come from the hot dogs and the baked beans. So I'll let that boil for a little while, and then I'll turn it down so that it can simmer. I need some of that water to boil out of it though. Okay, so a little update on the food here. So most of the water is boiled out. I had to dip out 2 of these spoonfuls of the water because it seemed like it was too much water there, and the rice kernels were just about done. You know, I took a little taste test. And right now, it tastes like they're just about done. So once that happens, I take the top off, and then I turn the heat all the way down. I turn it all the way down. You know why? Because now it'll start steaming. You see the water's in there, right? But it'll start steaming, and then it'll start cooking the rest of the rice. So I'll cover it up again. I just left it open so it can boil some of the water out. I'll cover it up halfway again. Well, not halfway, just so that I can hear it when it starts popping, and I'll know to turn it off. And as for the hot dogs, with the beans, they are popping a little, but the flavor wasn't to my liking, so I had to add a little of adobo. I know it sounds very high in sodium, but it tastes good, honey. Just make sure you drink lots of water and dilute that salt right out of your system. Enjoy these hot dogs and beans for the flavor, not for the nutrition part of it all. So this is the adobo that I added to it, okay? And I didn't add much. I add like a half of a teaspoon. Okay, so now the rice is ready. I just put my spoon in there. And you saw this, you see the steam? I stuck the spoon around the edges to make sure that all the steam was coming through and through. So I went around the edges. And you can still hear it popping a little. So that means a little water is left at the bottom. And I'll just let that last bit of water dry out. And so here we have it with a few slices of toasted English muffin, and like I promised, our glass of filtered water here from the Himalayas or wherever it comes from. So yeah. So for a hearty eater just like me, I put a little of the rice, beans, and hot dog on the English muffin, and yummy. Well, that's how you make the gourmet style Franks and Beans poor boy meal 2018. Okay. Guys, I gotta go. This is delicious. You can see the steam coming from it. Let me enjoy this while it's hot. Thank you for watching. And always again, this is Nature, and don't forget to pray. Bye-bye. And don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Bye.